Livy. Sounds harmless, right? But golf Twitter lit up, the PGA cracked down, and now everyone's pointing fingers. Is Bryan a victim of outdated rules? A rebellious disruptor? Or just totally clueless? Let's break down what really happened and why the golf world suddenly hates Wesley Bryan. It all started with a seemingly harmless YouTube event, the Duel Miami, a casual, influencer-style match play game with a flashy name, tons of cameras, and a vibe that felt more like a Netflix reality show than a pro tournament. But under all that glitz was a deeper issue. This wasn't just any exhibition. It was LIV-backed. And that's where the trouble began. Wesley Bryan, a fan-favorite golfer turned content creator, showed up as one of the featured players in the match. Alongside other influencers and a few known LIV-affiliated names, Bryan teed it up under the South Florida sun with no idea that one swing would start a firestorm. On the surface, this looked like a fun side gig, just another content piece in the evolving golf entertainment space. But behind closed doors, the PGA Tour was watching closely, and they weren't amused. According to Reuters, the PGA Tour acted swiftly. Not only did they classify the event as unsanctioned, but they also viewed it as a direct breach of tour regulations, the kind that require permission to play in outside events, especially ones with ties to rival organizations like LIV Golf. The PGA's message was crystal clear. It doesn't matter if it's a tournament or a YouTube collab. If LIV is involved, it's a line you don't cross. Bryan, known for his laid-back personality and self-deprecating humor, didn't exactly hide it either. The event was well documented online, with drone shots, mic'd-up banter, and behind-the-scenes clips that made their way around golf Twitter faster than a Rory drive. Golf.com reported that the match was already getting traction online even before the PGA dropped the hammer. Once they did, boom, the golf world exploded. What made this sting even more was that Bryan wasn't competing for prize money. He wasn't defecting, he was just there. But in today's tense PGA versus LIV landscape, even being associated is enough to get you benched. And in Wesley Bryan's case, that bench is now official. PGA Tour suspension confirmed. And this was only the beginning. The PGA Tour did not waste any time. Just days after the duels, Miami went live, and before the dust even settled on Twitter, the hammer came down. Wesley Bryan, who thought he was just having a good time with some fellow content creators, woke up to the cold reality of PGA bureaucracy. Suspension. Official. Immediate. According to Golf Digest, the tour ruled that Bryan had violated its strict guidelines regarding unsanctioned events. See, under normal circumstances, PGA players need written permission to play in anything that isn't a tour-sanctioned event. And that includes charity scrambles, money games, and apparently now, influencer-driven YouTube matches with live fingerprints on them. To make it worse, this wasn't some sneaky backdoor deal. The match was public, the cameras were rolling, LIV ties were known. And yet, Bryan showed up with a smile and a wedge, probably thinking this was no big deal, until it absolutely was. The response from the tour was swift, silent, and surgical. No press conference, no long-winded statements, just a cold letter and a clear message. Play in a LIV-affiliated event, even if it's on YouTube, and you're out. And just like that, Wesley Bryan's PGA playing privileges were pulled. Bryan himself, he took to X, formerly Twitter, with a message that perfectly captured his blend of sarcasm and disbelief. I've officially been suspended from the PGA Tour. Didn't plan on playing any PGA Tour events the rest of the year anyway. Might as well give y'all something to talk about today. NBC Sports confirmed the suspension, and by then the headlines were writing themselves. It wasn't just PGA suspends player, it was PGA suspends player for YouTube match, which, let's be honest, sounds more like an Onion headline than real life. But real it is. And with that one tweet, Bryan went from fringe tour guy to the newest face of the PGA versus LIV content war. The thing is, no one saw this coming, least of all him. And now the story was just getting started. The suspension was just the spark. The real fire came after, when golf fans, commentators, and even some fellow players started weighing in. Suddenly, Wesley Bryan wasn't just that tour guy who makes trick shots, or the fun content creator with a wedge and a GoPro. Now he was the guy who crossed the line. And depending on who you ask, he either broke a rule or broke loyalty. Let's be honest, we're in one of the most toxic, tense eras in golf politics. The PGA versus LIV war isn't just about where players tee it up. It's about brand image, moral high ground, and who's playing for legacy versus who's chasing bags. And whether Bryan meant to or not, stepping into a LIV-affiliated match, no matter how casual, looked like choosing sides. ESPN reported the reaction across social media, and it wasn't pretty. Some fans defended him, calling the suspension ridiculous. But others went straight for the throat. You don't get to eat at the PGA's table and then sneak off to LIV's backyard barbecue. You're either with us or you're with them. Playing influencer golf while pros grind it out week after week, that's weak. And while those comments might seem dramatic, they reflect a deeper frustration. PGA loyalists, players and fans have watched their tour get raided by LIV. Every crossover moment is seen as a betrayal. Even if you're not officially signing a LIV contract, even showing up to a LIV-tied event feels like you're opening the door. Then there's the influencer angle. Traditionalists hate it. Trick shots, YouTube antics, mic'd-up tee boxes. It's golf, but not their golf. Bryan has always straddled that line between serious pro and online entertainer. This move just made that line collapse entirely. So here's the real question. Was this about a minor rule break or about protecting the brand war? Did Bryan get suspended for showing up or for showing who he's willing to stand next to? Either way, the hate came fast, and it hasn't cooled down since. If you know Wesley Bryan, you know he's not your typical tour pro. The moment news of his suspension broke, he didn't issue some polished PR statement or go silent. "Nope," he tweeted. "I've officially been suspended from the PGA Tour. Didn't plan on playing any PGA Tour events the rest of the year anyway." Delivered with a smirk, soaked in sarcasm, and sounding more like a YouTuber with a brand deal than a guy just handed a professional timeout. That tweet wasn't just a reaction, it was a vibe check. Bryan's never really fit the PGA Tour mold. He's a trick shot guy, a YouTube personality, a golfer who talks with fans like they're friends, not followers. Golf Digest has covered his transition in the past, from a solid tour player and RBC Heritage champ to a content-first creator following a rough patch of injuries and missed cuts. His game may have slowed, but his camera roll definitely didn't. And maybe that's why people can't decide how to feel about him. Is he disrespecting the game by cozying up to LIV-adjacent content creators? Or is he simply doing what every other athlete in 2025 is trying to do? Build a brand that lives outside the leaderboard? ESPN once called him the most approachable guy on the range.